overall, that the Vikings had a good draft. And that's because, and look, I was borderline good to solid, and but I like the fact that you're able to grab. Look, player wise, you get Addison in the first, you get Roy in the fifth. Those are the two that I was really, I was really pleased about if I'm a Vikings fan. You tell me what you think about the two corners, because you know how desperately they needed some more DBs, and those guys have got to work out. And then they drafted Jaron Hall in the fifth, so that's just adding a future number two, which is fine. Maybe, and I like it when teams that have quarterbacks that you know won't be there much longer. I do like it when they're proactive and they use a middle round type of draft pick on a quarterback to just see, hey, did we get lucky here? Because Kirk Cousins will be gone soon, and we're going to have to invest heavily in that position unless we get lucky.
Yeah. I mean, starting off with the corners, they traded down in the third round, and they ended up with at the end of the third round, they picked up Mekhi Blackmon from a corner from USC, undersized kid. This team has been just striking out on defensive back draft picks, especially at corner. And, we'll see with this kid. He has a lot of toughness to him, good ball skills, had a good year in 2022. Jay Ward, though, is the one that sticks out to me a little bit.
Okay.
The defensive back coach in Minnesota, Durante Jones, he was at LSU in 2021. So they had a little bit of inside information on both him and the D tackle Roy, just a little bit. And that always helps. It's something to always fun to track where certain coaches come from and the relationships that they have. Information is key in this process. And if you actually got to work with this kid for an entire season, that means that they, had a really high value and a really high outlook on him. The unique thing about him is they had 3 different guys look at Jay Ward from that Vikings front office. And all 3 of them, independently of each other, came up with 3 different positions that he would thrive at in the NFL.
Okay.
One of them said outside corner, one of them said nickel, and one of them said safety. And that's interesting to me that, Jimmy Ward from San Francisco, that's where the GM came from. That was kind of his outlook too when he came out of college. I think it was Northern Illinois that he came from.
Okay.
That Jay Ward is a guy that I think they're excited to get into their system because he really can fill wherever they feel they're weakest. He has a credible amount of ability to play any one of those spots, and that's huge to get that in round 4.
But overall, we knew they needed to get 2 corners early. They did it. And they add Addison to a room with Jefferson, Hawkinson at tight end, and Dalvin Cook at running back, and a solid offensive line. So that offense just got that much more scarier.
Yeah.
But it is that defense, and they're going to need a guy like Roy, who maybe along with Tonga and what he did last year, there's a couple of good young defensive tackles to keep an eye on. But of course, we have to talk about the prize free agent pickup. And yes, they did pick up also Andre Carter, which was nice. But to be able to get Ivan Pace Jr., what happened there? This has to be one of the biggest drop-offs I have ever seen.
Yeah.
From a player that could have gone, I don't know, could he have gone late first? Maybe, let's say second, and he didn't even get drafted, and there wasn't anything wrong. Were there any flags there?
There had to have been, honestly. Him being small would not push him out of the draft because he was so productive. He was a monster at the Senior Bowl. He had an impressive workout. He's got more production than almost everyone at the position. So there has to be some sort of medical or off-field concern with him that crossed him off boards. In a situation like this, I think his size, certain teams really favor prototypes, and some teams will not draft a player that don't hit a certain threshold of size. So I think immediately he was already off some boards. And then if, another 5, 10, 15 teams take him off the board because of a concern, whether it be medical, character, now you're only looking at 5 or 6 teams maybe that even have him on their draft board. And if those teams don't need a linebacker or he's not a great scheme fit or they already drafted a linebacker or two, then you just, every single time he doesn't have his name called, I'm sitting here on my couch being like, what is happening?
Yes.
But he just might not even be an option for some of these teams. So that's my guess on him. I don't know if there's a character or medical, but I have to assume one of those things is on there that we just don't know about. But hey, this kid's making this roster. He's going to start football games for the Vikings.
There
No
you go.
question.